Recap: Tales of Herding Gods, Chapter 569. Chapter Translator: Atlas Studios. This star sanged by Big Senior Brother. It is unbearably heavy. With my current cultivation, I simply cannot wield it. Chinmu cast aside the massive cauldron, his figure turning into a streak of motion as he rushed back into the grand hall. Zhang Miao watched him dart away in haste, leaping onto the corpse of the divine dragon, utterly bewildered as to his intent. Chinmu circulated the dragon-rearing scriptures, yet how could a dead dragon respond? Its soul had long since been devoured by a malicious spirit, leaving behind only an empty husk. There was no cultivation left for him to borrow. Had it still lived, he might have stood against Xing'an. But now, all hope was but illusion. Chinmu glanced at Zhang Miao, then shook his head lightly. His cultivation is too shallow, even inferior to mine. Even if I invoke the dragon-rearing scriptures, the power I gain would be negligible. Teleportation divine art. Runes surged forth, circling his body like dancing spirits as he prepared to escape with Zhang Miao. Yet with his present cultivation, he could at best carry them only a few dozen miles. To Xing'an, such distance was but a fleeting breath. However, before the runes could complete their formation, they froze in midair. Not only the runes, even Chinmu and Zhang Miao themselves were locked in place, their bodies bound by an invisible force. They could not move in the slightest. Xing'an stepped into the hall, his expression dark as a storm-laden sky. He raised his hand, fingers spreading slightly, fresh blood still dripping between them. Having repaired his divine bridge and ascended to the celestial palaces, his cultivation had soared to an astonishing height. His power now was overwhelming, more than enough to suppress Chinmu effortlessly. Though grievously wounded within the 10 miles of yellow sand, he was still a god. His strength was vast beyond measure. Even with the remnants of his power, he could still imprison Chinmu with ease. Cold sweat rolled down Chinmu's brow as he forced a strained smile. "Senior Brother Xing'an, I shall return the chest to you." "What I desire is not the chest, but you," Xing'an replied coldly, spitting out a mouthful of bloodied phlegm. His body bore wounds of all sizes, each one ghastly beyond measure. Torn flesh exposed raw muscle, and in some places even bone gleamed stark white. Truly his fate had been riddled with misfortune. Trapped for half a year within the Paramita Arc, a place brimming with deadly formations and seals, he had endured constant peril, along with the occasional harassment of that mute. No sooner had he escaped than he encountered Chinmu, only to be lured into the 10 miles Star Sand Calamity Formation. Chinmu had slipped away with ease, while he himself sank deeper into danger, his condition deteriorating with every passing moment. Only by exhausting every ounce of his knowledge and strength had he managed to endure. Had the formation not suddenly ceased, he would have perished within, reduced to drifting dust. "Great divine physician, why is it so difficult to capture you?" Xing'an asked hoarsely, swallowing the blood rising in his throat. "Fortunately, you have yet to escape my grasp." A boundless darkness surged from beneath his feet. It was his life and death divine treasure. He advanced forward as though walking upon a sea of black water. Within that darkness, 2 eyes slowly opened. Soon after, the visage of a beautiful woman emerged, her graceful figure drifting upward into view. Xing'an appeared to be treading upon the black water, while the woman beneath him resembled his reflection. Yet one was a man, and the other a breathtaking beauty. The scene was eerie and surreal. They advanced in perfect synchrony, lifting and placing their feet as one, step by step toward Chinmu. Yet just as the darkness neared Chinmu, Xing'an abruptly halted. The woman halted as well, as though bound to his movements. From the woman's lips came a deep, rough male voice. "Xing'an, why have you stopped? Bring him into your life and death divine treasure and hand him over to me. Once I have him, our agreement is fulfilled." "I have already found him for you, as promised. Whether you can seize him is your own concern." "I do not appreciate being threatened," Xing'an replied indifferently. The woman beneath him was momentarily stunned, then let out a cold sneer. "You think that by stepping into the celestial palaces and becoming a mere pseudo-god you can bargain with me? Xing'an, you dare." "Bargain?" Xing'an shook his head calmly. "This is no bargain. You released me from Yudu, so I located him for you. That was the agreement. I have fulfilled my part. Whether you can capture him, that is your problem." He extended his hand in a grasping motion. The corpse of the divine dragon rose into the air, while Qinmu and Jiang Miao suddenly fell to the ground. Their restraints vanished, and they regained control over their bodies and vital qi. Qinmu was momentarily stunned. Looking up, he saw the divine dragon's body shrinking rapidly, its chains falling away as its form diminished. Xing'an seized the dragon's body, straightening it before coiling it around his waist like a belt. His voice turned icy. "Lu Li, get out of my life and death divine treasure!" The woman beneath him flew into a rage. "How dare you speak to me in such a manner? Do you believe a mere god like you can escape my grasp? My divine treasure? What right do you have to speak? Begone!" Xing'an roared. His primordial spirit manifested within his life and death divine treasure, sun, moon, and the 5 elements aligned, their radiance blazing forth. Whenever that light approached, the woman retreated hastily, forced back by the brilliance of the 7 stars. "Xing'an, you dare deceive a high god, I will." "Begone!" Divine might erupted from Xing'an's body. His robes and hair fluttered wildly, while the divine treasures within him shone with dazzling brilliance, illuminating the entirety of his life and death divine treasure. The woman was driven back, expelled into Yudu. Xing'an's aura subsided, the black energy settling once more upon his shoulders. His appearance returned to calm as he turned his gaze toward Qinmu. "Where is my chest?" Qinmu hesitated briefly before retrieving the chest from his Taoti sack. The chest shot toward Xing'an, yet halfway through, it turned as though glancing back at Qinmu before continuing onward to his side. Xing'an turned and walked out of the hall, his voice cold and distant. "Divine Physician Qin, pray that we do not meet again." "Why do you not kill me?" Qinmu suddenly asked. "Why should I?" Xing'an halted, glancing back. "I have my own principles. The secrets of Magpie Bridge, the secrets of Mysterious Guide, and the secrets of Divine Crossing allowed me to ascend to godhood and free myself from the shackles of lifespan. Our grudge has thus been erased. My search for you was merely to fulfill my agreement with Lu Li. That, too, is now settled. You are a great master. But do you believe I cannot recognize and act as one? You underestimate me." Qinmu was momentarily taken aback, then smiled faintly. "Indeed, I have underestimated you." Xing'an's eyes twitched at that smile. He let out a cold snort and turned away. "Do not smile at me, I will return. You have created many things, 18th sword form, primordial spirit guide. I admire talent. When your corporeal body reaches a level worthy of my attention, I will come for you. I desire the corporeal body of an overlord." Qinmu stood stunned, watching as Xing'an disappeared into the distance. When Xing'an reached the massive cauldron, his gaze flickered. Just as he was about to claim it, the star sand within began to stir. It rose slowly, shaping itself into the form of a young man. Startled, Xing'an fled immediately, crossing the 10-mile canyon in an instant. He feared the formation might awaken once more. Qinmu led Jiang Miao out of the hall and saw a sand figure standing within the cauldron, its surface flowing ceaselessly. "Big Senior Brother?" Qinmu called cautiously. "Heavenly Saint Cult's founding master. I am the current cult master. I have recently met Saint Woodcutter. Big Senior Brother. Are you still alive?" The sand figure opened its mouth, yet no words emerged. Suddenly, it collapsed, the star sand flowing across the ground, forming an image. Qinmu hurried forward. The ground was filled with geographical maps, mountains, rivers, landscapes, all intricately depicted. The terrain shifted constantly, and Qinmu hurriedly committed them to memory. The star sand transformed more than 10 times before finally retreating back into the cauldron. Qinmu frowned slightly. Aside from the first map, he recognized none of the others. Even within the Great Ruins, no place resembled the remaining images. The first map belonged to the Great Ruins, yet the other 13 bore no resemblance to any land within Eternal Peace, West Earth, or even Supreme Emperor Heaven. What is Big Senior Brother trying to convey? Qinmu narrowed his eyes. The founding master must have sensed the death of the divine dragon and used the star sand as a medium to manifest. Yet he was likely not within the Great Ruins or Eternal Peace, but in another realm entirely, hence why his voice could not reach them. Thus, he used the star sand to depict maps, guiding Qinmu to his location. These 14 maps are exceedingly complex. Why should I go find him? Qinmu suddenly realized. My knowledge is limited, but Saint Woodcutter has seen the world. He would surely recognize these maps. Still, I might uncover clues from the first map. I should investigate it first. Having resolved his thoughts, he relaxed and said, "Jiang Miao, let us go." Jiang Miao acknowledged. Suddenly, Qin Mu turned back and embraced the massive cauldron, straining to lift it. Jiang Miao scratched his head. "Aren't you going to help?" Qin Mu shouted. Jiang Miao rushed over. Both exerted their full strength. Faces flushed red, yet the cauldron would not budge. Panting heavily, Jiang Miao gasped. "Cult Master, perhaps we should abandon this? Your big senior brother's abilities are far beyond ours. Even Xing'an dared not take it. We certainly cannot." Qin Mu could only relent. Yet then his gaze fell upon the chains that had bound the dragon, and his eyes lit up. He dashed over eagerly. "At the very least, we can take a few chains. If they could restrain a divine dragon, then their material must be supreme. Even if melted and reforged, they would produce treasures of the highest grade." Jiang Miao followed helplessly. Together, they dragged a thick chain, barely managing to pull it out of the hall. Qin Mu opened his touty sack and tried to store one end within, but the chain was far too thick. Worse still, the other end was embedded deep within the cliff. Immovable. The two youths stared at one another, utterly at a loss. Qin Mu grew frustrated and turned away. "To think you're my big senior brother. What a miser!" Jiang Miao hurried after him. Qin Mu soared into the sky, his expression dark. He surveyed the terrain, then chose the direction indicated by the first map. 2 days later, they arrived at a small village, the marked location. Qin Mu and Jiang Miao entered, examining their surroundings. The village resembled any ordinary settlement within the great ruins, yet statues of gods with dragon heads and human bodies stood scattered throughout. Why did big senior brother lead us here? As Qin Mu pondered, he noticed a white-haired elder weaving a fishing net before a small straw hut. He stepped forward respectfully and bowed. "Elder, may I ask, what place is this?" The elder lifted his head. His cloudy eyes filled with astonishment. A faint smile appeared. "I gave the Emperor's disc to the Ling family, so how has it come into your possession?" Qin Mu stood frozen, eyes wide, utterly speechless. Translator Atlas Studios. Editor Atlas Studios. The white-haired elder was clad in green robes long faded by the passage of years. With unhurried movements, he set aside the fishing net in his hands. At that instant, Qin Mu felt a subtle stirring against his chest. Lowering his gaze, he saw the Emperor's disc transform, its form shifting into a tiny dragon that poked its head out from beneath his collar. When Jiang Miao beheld that small dragon, his expression changed abruptly. Unable to restrain himself, he reverted to his true form as well, shrinking into a small dragon and retreating behind Qin Mu. A low growl escaped him, one that carried both reverence and fear. "Ma?" The little dragon that had emerged from Qin Mu's collar was none other than a true dragon lord. It opened its mouth in a languid yawn, then slowly wriggled free, its slender body gliding out as it slithered toward the white-haired elder. It climbed onto the elder's hand, coiling neatly before closing its eyes, as though drifting into sleep. At once, numerous young men and women stepped out from within the small village, encircling Qin Mu and Jiang Miao. Among them, a sturdy young man spoke up, his voice firm. "Old ancestor, have they come here to stir up trouble?" The white-haired elder smiled gently. "No, they have not. Do not frighten them. These two share some fate with our village." Hearing this, the hostility in the young men and women faded. Their gazes turned curious as they began to examine Qin Mu and the little dragon Jiang Miao hiding behind him. Qin Mu was inwardly astonished. The vital qi of these young villagers surged with vigor, each of them concealing their brilliance beneath an unassuming exterior. Yet when they had surrounded him, Qin Mu distinctly heard 7 explosive sounds from the opening of divine treasures emanating from the youngest girl among them. It was clear. She was an expert of the divine bridge realm, and yet she appeared to be the weakest among them, for everyone else stood protectively around her. Even the most ordinary villager in this modest settlement was at the divine bridge realm. Qin Mu had once believed that Disabled Elderly Village was the strongest village within the Great Ruins, but now it seemed that the Great Ruins truly concealed countless hidden talents. Besides the Emperor's Disc, you also carry the true dragon's nest. The white-haired elder's eyes gleamed with surprise as his gaze fell upon Qin Mu's waist. Chin-Mu immediately removed the Tao tea sack and retrieved the true dragon's nest, presenting it respectfully before the elder. "Senior, please take a look." At once, the spirit of the true dragon lord rose and darted into the true dragon's nest, its presence merging within. When the other villagers witnessed this, their spirits stirred as well. A yearning arose within them, as though they too wished to burrow into the dragon's nest alongside the little dragon. Yet they restrained themselves. Could it be these villagers are not human, but dragons? Is this truly a village of dragons? Observing their reactions, Chin-Mu could not help but form such conjectures. The Emperor's disc of the Ling family was stolen by my grandpa Cripple and later passed to me. As for the true dragon's nest, it was refined by the dragon-rearing sovereign of the high heavens. After I subdued him, it naturally came into my possession. Senior, you are the one who refined the Emperor's disc, are you not? The white-haired elder's gaze rested upon the true dragon's nest, his lips curving into a smile that was neither warm nor cold. Back then, I refined the true dragon lord into the Emperor's disc and entered Middle-earth in search of a successor. There, I encountered a young man of remarkable talent and comprehension. He was the old ancestor of the Ling family. Seeing that he bore the chi of a true dragon, I entrusted the Emperor's disc to him and taught him the dragon language and the techniques contained within it. But what could I do? His heart was not set upon cultivation. Instead, he ran off to pursue some young lady. In the end, he succeeded in winning her over. Yet by then, he had already forgotten most of the dragon language and techniques I had imparted to him. It was at that moment I realized this young man was not destined to become a true dragon lord. Chin-Mu had once heard Ling Yushi recount this tale and had found it amusing, yet never had he imagined it to be true. Still, I am by nature a lazy fellow, the white-haired elder continued with a faint smile. And since I had been entrusted by another to refine the true dragon lord and seek out a successor, I simply let matters be. After all, that successor was not entirely useless. Who would have thought that although that young man lacked diligence, his descendants would all be exceedingly hard-working, strengthening the Eternal Peace Empire to what it is today? Now that the Emperor's disc is in your possession, and you also hold the true dragon's nest, you must have come seeking the techniques within, correct? Senior, I am indeed interested in the techniques within the true dragon's nest. However, my purpose in coming here is because of the founding master of the Heavenly Saint cult. He is my senior brother. He left behind a geographical map marking this village, which is how I found my way here, Chin-Mu explained respectfully. The white-haired elder was taken aback, pondering for a moment. The founding master of the Heavenly Saint cult? You mean that young man named Wei Feng Sui? Chin-Mu hesitated. He did not know the true name of his senior brother. Seeing his expression, the white-haired elder smiled. He once came seeking me, asking how one might attain merit. He was not a bad youth, and his abilities were exceptionally outstanding. Your teacher has indeed accepted a fine disciple. However, if Wei Feng Sui wished to become a saint, it would be exceedingly difficult for him to accumulate merit, for the path he walked was your teacher's path. And that path is arduous beyond measure. I could teach him nothing. If you, as his junior brother, have also come to ask how to become a saint, then I must disappoint you as well. I cannot teach you anything. The teacher he referred to was most likely the Saint Woodcutter, who once served as the heavenly teacher of the founding Emperor of Celestial Heavens, instructing all princes and princesses of the imperial bloodline. May I ask, did my senior brother mention where he intended to go? Chin-Mu asked. The white-haired elder shook his head. He did not say where he was headed, but he left something behind. If he guided you here, then it must be for that item. He rose and entered the straw hut. After a short while, he returned, holding a red box which he handed to Chin-Mu. Opening it, Chin-Mu found within a palm-sized token engraved with the image of a ferocious beast. He turned it over in his hands, yet could not discern its purpose. With sincere humility, he asked, "Senior, what is the use of this token?" "This is a commander's seal used to mobilize soldiers. Within it lies a formation that contains positions for gods, but it is exceedingly ancient. Most likely, it is no longer of any practical use," the white-haired elder replied. "Even I cannot recognize some of the runes inscribed upon it," It may very well be a commander's seal from the High Emperor era, or perhaps even older. He took back the commander's seal and infused it with his magic power. Immediately, countless stars emerged from within the seal, swirling around them in a dazzling display. These stars represent the positions of gods. If all positions are filled, they may form a grand formation to confront enemies in battle. Qin lifted his head, his gaze following the drifting stars. Yet these were not true celestial bodies. They were phantasmal projections. Even so, their number was staggering, numbering in the thousands. His heart trembled as he murmured, "A formation of thousands of gods. What kind of war would require such an array of divine and demonic beings?" "Your perspective is too limited." The white-haired elder withdrew his magic power, causing the stars to vanish like mist. With a faint smile, he said, "During the founding emperor era, battles of such scale were not uncommon. Though the formation within this commander's seal is no longer usable, it still makes for a fine collectible." Qin looked at him in confusion. "Why is the formation no longer usable?" The white-haired elder handed the commander's seal back to him. "The great Tao of heaven and earth has changed. The formation within this seal is no longer compatible with it. Furthermore, it has lost its power. This artifact is far too ancient, likely tens of thousands of years old. As for which era it truly belongs to, even I cannot say." Qin placed the commander's seal back into the red box and stored it within his Tao Ti sack. Since founding master Wei Fengsui had entrusted this red box and commander's seal to the white-haired elder, it was clear that the item was of great importance. The map that had led Qin here must have been intended for this very purpose. "Forgive this junior's impertinence, but may I ask for senior's name?" Qin said. The white-haired elder smiled faintly. "I would have thought that a descendant of the Qin family would know my name. Yet you do not. I am a dragon vein that attained Tao and cultivated into a true dragon. In those early days, I followed your ancestor. As I had just been born and did not yet know how to speak, I could only cry out, 'Maha!' Thus, your ancestor gave me that name in jest. My surname is Ma, and my given name is Hawking." Qin expression turned peculiar. "Ma Hawking." Zhang Miao peeked his head out from behind Qin and timidly echoed, "Maha." The white-haired elder continued calmly. "Later, I became an official in the celestial heavens, which possessed 4 great celestial palaces. I oversaw the Green Dragon Palace and its 60 divisions of star gods, all under my command. I was honored as the Green Emperor, though I found the title overly grandiose and changed my name to Qing Huang. Now that the founding emperor's celestial heavens has fallen and the Green Dragon Celestial Palace no longer exists, you may simply call me Elder Qing Huang." Qin once again bowed deeply. Qin, the 107th descendant of the Qin family, pays his respects to Elder Qing Huang. Elder Qing Huang hastily gestured for him to rise. "Please, no need for such formality. The moment I saw you arrive, I recognized your bloodline and guessed that you were a descendant of the founding emperor. You wish to learn the dragon language contained within the true dragon's nest? That I can teach you." Qin was overjoyed and bowed in gratitude. "Many thanks, senior." Elder Qing Huang led him into the true dragon's nest and said, "From what I can see, your paths, skills, and divine arts have already reached a modest level of accomplishment. You appear to cultivate both the god and devil paths simultaneously, and you have opened the divine treasures of both, a most peculiar state. Since you have already found your own path, learning the techniques of the dragon race would merely add ornamentation to what is already complete. However, for this little dragon, the benefits will be considerable." Zhang Miao, still in his small dragon form, tiptoed behind Qin. Upon hearing these words, he shrank his head and muttered softly, "Maha!" Elder Qing Huang smiled. "No need to thank me. If you must thank someone, thank him instead." "Ah, Qin, I sense something unusual about your body, specifically at your neck. It seems to be a jade pendant containing a powerful seal. Is this what Senior refers to?" Qin took out the jade pendant and said, "It was crafted by Earth Count. He said it would seal my devil nature. I was born in Yudu and was invaded by the lingering devil nature there, so Earth Count created this for me. As long as I wear it, it suppresses my devil nature." Elder Qing Huang examined the jade pendant, then sneered. "Earth Count sealed your devil nature? Why would he show you such kindness? Give it to me. I shall help you break the seal. Chinmu hesitated, his expression troubled. He lowered his voice and said, Senior, King Yama once attempted to undo the seal and suffered a curse from the jade pendant. Even Fu Riluo of the Devil Race tried to remove it and was likewise cursed, ending in a miserable state. My master and King Yama both advised that the seal should not be undone and that I should never remove the jade pendant. Otherwise, terrible consequences will follow. What is there to fear from a mere curse? Elder Qing Huang replied with a faint smile. However, if even teacher has said so, then there must be a reason. Very well. Come, let me resolve your doubts regarding the true dragon techniques within this nest.